Today we deal with fatherhood challenges. Fathers today may have concerns about meeting expectations as parents, juggling work and family life, and providing emotional support for the children. But in a world filled with joy, love, and endless adventures, fatherhood presents its own set of challenges. From sleepless nights to daunting tasks of balancing work and family, every day brings new hurdles to overcome. But through the struggles and sacrifices come the undeniable rewards of fatherhood. I want to welcome you back to today's Man Podcast. We've actually made it to week number 6, and we are going to be tackling the 6th personal challenge that men deal with but do not openly discuss. And that is fatherhood challenges. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it so very much. And again, I greet those of you that are watching me on the live recording. Thank you as well for your support. Now today, as I've stated, this is our 6th week. We got one more session to go, but we want to deal with fatherhood challenges today. Now, you know, my thing is to come on and give you some good information and then get out the way. I don't really like to filibust. I don't like to just talk to be talking. I learned that from my dad. He'd always tell us to get up, speak up, shut up, and sit down. So I'm going to stay in that teaching. But today, instead of giving you 8, like I normally do, I want to give you 10 common fatherhood challenges and strategies to address them. So hopefully you have your notebooks and your journals by now. If you don't have your notebooks and journals by now, I want to ask you, what are you waiting for? What's taking you so long? Go on over there to Amazon.com and pick you up a copy of the men's journal, the women's journal, and also the men's prayer journal. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a women's prayer journal so you women can have that as well. Don't want to leave you out on that. I have the regular journals, notebook journals for you, but I don't have a prayer journal. And I know many women love prayer journals. So look out for that. Be on lookout for that. I'm going to have that created within a few days or a few weeks or however long that takes. So today, what I want to do is give you these 10 common fatherhood challenges and strategies. If you're ready, let's get in it. Number 1 is work-life balance. Now, I mentioned this in a previous podcast. Now, it's important for us as men, and I know women that are listening, it's important for you as well. Balancing work and family life demands, they are very challenging. I understand this very well. So this is why it's important for us to prioritize quality time with our children and establish clear boundaries between our work life and our personal life. That's very important. Balancing the demands of our career and our family life can be a perpetual struggle for many families, for many fathers, for many dads, for many men, because the pressure to excel professionally while still being present in our families often leads to feelings of guilt and inadequacy. Let me ask you this. How many of you listening have ever felt guilt about not being able to be present at a particular game or particular recital, or even being present at home as often as your family wish you to be home? You ever felt guilty? You ever felt inadequate? It's easy to feel that way when you're absent. So I say this, finding the right equilibrium between work commitments And family time becomes a constant challenge, and it requires careful planning and boundary setting. This is one of the things that we need to understand in balancing our work commitment and our family time, because we know that there's going to be some pull on one side and the other. Your job is going to pull you one side, your family is going to pull you on the other side. So this requires some careful planning on your side and boundary settings. All right, number two. Number two is emotional connection. Building and maintaining a strong emotional connection with your children is crucial, men. It's very important for you to build and maintain a strong emotional connection with your children. Spend quality time engaging in activities that they enjoy. And as I stated on, I believe it was last week, we talked about relationship challenges and I talked about actively listening. Well, actively listen to them when they're talking. Take time out and just stop what you're doing and just listen to them. Now, I know they can rant and rave and they can go on and on and on and on, but it's important for you to give them your undivided attention so they know that daddy is listening, daddy is present, daddy is paying attention. And here's one that I feel is very important. Express your love and support for them regularly. They want to know that you love them. They want to see your support for them. I don't know what their activities are, but whatever their activities are, you allow them to be a part of it. So, being that you allowed them to be a part of it, now it's time for you to support them in that. Because societal expectations often discourage men from openly expressing their emotions, leading to difficulties in forming deep emotional connections with our children. This is why I say we have to be mindful of what we allow into our minds and the society of what we should be doing as men and as fathers. Their expectations, it's very discouraging. And this is why I don't live up to what society states or what society requires or what society says I ought to live up to. No, I don't live up to that standard. I don't live up to their expectations. My expectation is to live according to the way God wants me to live. What is God's expectation of us? Many fathers may struggle to communicate their feelings effectively, resulting in a sense of distance or disconnect within the family dynamic. This is why it's important for us as men to really tap in to ourselves, tap in to our mindsets, tap into our attitudes, tap into our spirits, tap into God, and effectively pay attention to what's going on in the family unit. But here is where overcoming societal stereotypes and embracing vulnerability is essential for fostering meaningful and emotional bonds with your children. Number three, parenting styles. Now, I know for a fact that couples have different parenting styles. In your house, you have different parenting styles. Yes or yes? My parents had different parenting styles. I had different parenting styles. My wife had different parenting styles. And sometimes these parenting styles lead to disagreements in the home because one can't agree with the other parent's style. One style may be aggressive, the other style may be more nurturing. One style may be hard, the other style may be soft. So there's different styles and communication is key. Discuss your approaches to parenting and find out common ground and support each other in your roles. There is nothing more important in a child's life than to see their parents working together for a common good. Navigating differing parenting styles, both within the family unit and compared to societal norms, can create tension and it can create some confusion for many fathers. Why is that? Because there's so much pressure on fathers today. The pressure to adhere to traditional gender roles and societal expectations may clash with a desire to adopt a more involved and nurturing approaches to parenting. Finding a balance between authoritative guidance and nurturing support while respecting individuals' differences is a complex challenge for many fathers. You don't have to imitate, hear me on this one. You don't have to imitate the 1950s dad in order to reach your children. This isn't Ozzie and Harriet. This isn't Leave It to Beaver. How your dad raised you may not be an effective way to raise your children. I've heard over my lifetime where people would say, I'm not going to raise my kids like my parents raised me. I'm not going to treat my kids the way my parents treated me. Well, I can understand much of that. But there are certain things that your parents did do that affected you in a positive way. Now, they might have been negative, and because of their negativity, that caused you not to be negative. So there is a positive negative type of thing going on in that relationship. So being that, yeah, this is not the 1950s, this is not the 1960s. However, the generation that we're in today, we need to find a happy medium on raising our children. No, you can't raise your children like Bob raises his children, because how Bob raises his children may not go according to your ethics, your beliefs. So be mindful of that, because kids will come home and say, well, Johnny's parents allow him to do this. Well, you know what the parents say, right? I know you've said this. Well, Johnny don't live here. You don't live with Johnny. So what goes on in Johnny's house? That's Johnny's house. What goes on in this house? That's what goes on in this house. So that's very important. The raising aspect of your household. Number 4, financial pressures. I told you I'm going to get through this quickly today because I have 10 to hit, and I don't want to turn this into a full-blown 1-hour conference. Today is not the day for it. Financial pressures. How many of you listening, and those of you that are watching, how many of you know that providing for a family can be stressful? It can bring some unwanted financial stress in your life. I know this to be true. When I was a young single dad and I wanted to make sure that my children had most of the things that they desired, I wanted to give them a good standard of living, a good, happy home. And sometimes there were days I did not have the money to take them to get them a little happy meal. It was rough sometimes, but God provided. This is why you need to create a realistic budget. I show of hands, how many of you have a realistic budget? Now, I can't see your hands, so I'm trusting that you're raising your hands. Save for the future. How many of you save for the future? And communicate openly with your partner about financial goals and challenges. This is one area that I know many families have deteriorated because of financial issues. Divorce is high because of financial issues. Providing for a family financially can be a significant source of stress and anxiety for fathers. It can be that way for mothers as well, especially if they're single moms in the home. Balancing the need to secure a stable income with a desire to spend quality time with your children can feel like an impossible feat because you're trying to make money to bring into the house, to pay the bills, to take the kids to this activity and that activity. And sometimes you got to work overtime in order to get that done. You're going to be absent from the home. And here now, the stress level is rising because you're trying to meet these expectations, one on the job and then one at home. We don't have any money to do this. We don't have any money to do that. That can be very stressful. Striving to meet financial obligations while ensuring the well-being and happiness of your family requires careful budgeting, planning, and sometimes making difficult sacrifices. You're going to have to make some sacrifices. Here's another thing that I remember as a single dad. I would tell my children, I'm sacrificing now. In other words, I would say, Daddy is sacrificing now so we don't have to sacrifice later. You'll have to understand why I'm always busy, while I'm always working, while I'm always striving, while I'm always hustling. It's because I want to be able to provide for you and your brother a style of living to where you don't have to feel the stress of what daddy is going through. You sit down, you have those conversations with your children, and you just let them know. Bring them into the conversation of the financial budgeting and let them know this is what we have, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do, this is what we are allotting for this month. And you just let them know. And you would be surprised because now they're feeling that they're a part of this. So you would be surprised how happy they would be to know that, okay, we can't do this, we can do this. We can sacrifice here, we can save here. So now you're getting them in on it. And it teaches them a valuable lesson about saving, about budgeting, because today kids don't know anything about budgeting. All they know is spend, 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 spend. And then they wonder how come they don't have any money. They can't go anywhere because they don't have any gas money. Then they look at you. And it's not your obligation to give them gas money because they spend all their gas money. You got to teach them. And that's the hard lessons in life that a lot of parents, they don't want to teach their children. They want to give them everything. They want to do everything for them. And that's not teaching them a valuable lesson on adulting. You got to teach them. You can't do this today. You can't have this. I'm not going to do this for you. A lot of kids will say, could you do it for me? No, learn to do it yourself. I'm here to help you just in case you hit a snag, but you need to learn to do this on your own. You need to learn how to call. You need to learn how to write these letters. You need to learn how to email. You need to learn how to do these business type things because you're of age to learn this stuff. Or else your kids are going to grow up not knowing how to take care of themselves, not knowing how to do things for themselves. And I understand that in the home, boys are to do certain things in the home. Girls are to do certain things in the home. I say allow them to do it all. Don't just separate the responsibilities in the home. Get them involved on everything. Teach them boys how to wash dishes. Teach them boys how to cook. Teach them daughters how to change the oil. Teach them daughters how to check the air in the tires. Get them involved in taking care of themselves. That's all a part of the financial challenges that we face, the financial pressures that we have in life. All of this is encompassing what I'm talking about today. All right, number 5. We've made it to the halfway point. Number 5, time management. Time management is huge because juggling various responsibilities can make time management difficult. Prioritize many of the tasks. Delegate when possible. Make a list of what needs to be done, the most important to the least important, and find ways to optimize your schedule to ensure you can spend meaningful time with your children. Just like on your job, you prioritize your business, your meetings, and all that goes along with running your business. So why can't you prioritize your home life and let the children know this is what we're going to be doing? You don't have to be military style, but let them know these are the most important things we need to get done, down to the things that get done when we get done. Because I understand that with the demands of work, household responsibilities, and family commitments, managing time effectively, this can be a constant struggle for fathers. Now, I'm not trying to make any excuses for fathers not doing their responsibility, but I'm just being real in some of the struggles that fathers have in the home. I'm not taking anything away from the mothers at all because I understand your struggle. I truly do, especially as single moms. But prioritizing tasks, setting realistic goals, and learning to delegate effectively, these are essential skills for navigating the countless responsibilities of fatherhood. Despite the best efforts, we fathers can find ourselves stretched very thin, grappling with the challenge of fitting everything into a limited number of hours in the day. So this is what I tell you. Manage your time wisely. And I know I don't have to remind you of this. Many of you already know this. However, you're not putting it into practice. So I'm here to remind you to put this into practice. Number 6, role expectations. You know, societal expectations around fatherhood can be restrictive. Here's where you need to challenge the traditional norms and define your role based on what works for your family. Because as I stated earlier, what may work at Bob's home may not work at your home. Be involved in caregiving and household responsibilities. Don't leave that to the wife. Don't leave that to your mate. Step up. Take responsibility. You might not be in the home, Dad. Go back and help out where you can. The reason they don't want you there is because of your attitude, because of your mindset. Well, if you change your attitude and change your mindset, they might want you around a little more. It's not to say that you're trying to get back in the house. Well, it could be, but it may be a case in point to where, okay, the relationship may be over far as husband and wife or whatever the situation may be, but you can still play an active role in your children's lives. I played a huge active role in my children's life. They knew that Daddy was going to be there. They knew that I was going to be participating in all of their activities because I prayed and asked God to say, God, I want a job to where I can be active in my children's lives. I don't want to go to a 9-to-5. I want to work from home. I want to be able to work from my house so I can be available to my children. And you know, that's exactly what happened. Now, it didn't happen the way I expected it because I had gotten hurt on my job. I got hit by a dump truck. That took me completely out of the work environment. And it actually was a blessing in disguise because they retired me out of my job with the city of San Diego. And I was able now to work from home once I recovered, work from home, and I was able to be present in my children's lives. That was my role. Even when I was married, they learned what daddy's role was, they learned what mommy's role was. Society often imposes rigid expectations on fathers, dictating what it means to be, quote unquote, a good parent. And if you look at society today, there's not too many men that I consider good examples for good parents. Not from what I'm seeing today. Don't try to live up to these expectations while also honoring your own values and beliefs, because it can create internal conflict and self-doubt. You're trying to live up to these fake daddies on TV. You're trying to live up to these fake mamas on TV. That's TV. Those are scripted. That's not real. Snatch back the covers and let's see how they really live at home. Those aren't the kind of people that I'm trying to pattern my life after. You shouldn't be trying to pattern your life after Beverly Hills Wives or Beverly Hills Husbands or Real Wives of Atlanta or Real Husbands of Arkansas, whatever these programs are. Those are fake programs. So don't try to live up to their expectations. I'm going to tell you this. Those fathers navigating the complexities of their duties within the family and society at large may struggle with thoughts of inadequacy or fear of being judged. But know this, you have to know it works and be proud of the outcome. You might not have all the money that you desire to have, but whatever you do have, be proud of what you're able to accomplish in your home. This is why it's important for you to sit down with your children and have those hard conversations, loving conversations, and let them know we are a team and we're going to do this together, because you are going to have some challenges when they hit the teens. And with that being said, number 7, teenage challenges. Oh my goodness. I think I can spend a whole podcast on teenage challenges. Let me see those hands. If you know that parenting teenagers comes with its own set of challenges. I see the hands. I know everybody's like, got both of your hands up. Some people got their feet up because it's challenging raising teenagers. Why is that? It's like soon as they hit teenage, they lose their mind. We really must stay connected with open communication and setting some clear expectations and being very supportive during this transitional phase. It's not to say that we're trying to be their best friend. Let's make that perfectly clear. You are not their best friend. I think I need to say this to the camera. You are not your child's best friend when they're growing up, because they'll treat you like their classmates. They'll treat you like you're their age. No, it's not to say that you can't be friendly with them, but they have to understand the boundaries. Parenting, children, your friends are at your school, your friends are outside that you play with. When we grown, then we could be best friends. Parenting teenagers present a unique set of challenges that can be particularly daunting for fathers. And I understand the years of absent fatherhood, men that are absent in the home, men that have actually said, you know, this isn't worth it, I'm done. These children are driving me crazy, I'm out, or whatever reason they left. It can be daunting for parents or dads, but I tell you this as a word of encouragement. When you have God in your life, when you put God first, whatever you deal with, God is going to give you the strength to overcome it. Adolescence is a period of significant change and upheaval, marked by a whole lot of rebellion and a whole lot of experimentation. And you got to deal with identity formation because they're trying to figure out who they are. Their little minds are ripe for being twisted the way they shouldn't go. Their minds and hearts are ripe for being confused. And if you are a strong father and a strong mother in the house, you can protect their minds and their hearts from all this madness on social media, all this madness on these programs that you allow them to watch, all this madness of the certain music that you allow them to listen to. And you wonder why they're acting out certain ways, why they're acting the way they act, why they are moody the way they are, why they are expressing so much different types of sexuality. It's because of what we as parents allow. Fathers, you may have some struggles with how to communicate effectively with your teenage children and dealing with some of the issues such as peer pressure, academic stress, and the emergence of independence. But finding the balance between providing guidance and allowing space for autonomy is key to basically fostering healthy relationships with your teenage children. Now, I understand it may feel like a lost cause. It may seem like it's a lost world. But those children are transitioning, and you have to understand that transitioning period of their life. This is a biblical based podcast. So I'm going to give you what I feel is best spiritually, biblically, because you need to have this in your life to understand what's going on with your children. Because if you go to society, if you go out there in the world, if you go out there to the streets, that's a whole different arena. That's a whole different world. Do you want that for your children? You can't just give up and go, oh, let the streets have them. No, you have to corral them in. The Bible says, train them up in the way that they should go, not force them, but there is a type of forcing because they are your children. You're teaching them, you're rearing them, you're educating them, you're letting them know what's right, what's wrong, what should be, what shouldn't be. You let them know the differences in life because the school system, oh, let me tell you, we already know the school system is screwing up their little mindsets because what's allowed in the school today is tearing down the family structure. Again, it may seem like a lost cause, but it's not. It's don't give up on your children. The quicker you turn them back over to God, where they belong, and then get out the way, the sooner your life becomes somewhat normal. You got to turn your children back over to the Lord. Just give them back to God. Say, God, these are your children. You do with them what you desire to do with them. And just let God handle it. Let God do it. Because when we try to do it ourselves, we get in trouble. Say, God, I give them to you. God, I turn them over to you. Protect them. Do whatever you want with them. Keep them safe, God. And allow God to be God. All right, number 8. I said I wasn't going to go on a tangent, but some of this is, you can't help it. Number 8 is self-care. Self-care. In many of the homes, it's common for fathers to often prioritize their family's needs above their own. But this is vital. You must remember to take care of your physical and mental well-being first. It's like flying on a plane. When those parachutes, or not the parachutes, when those oxygen masks, they say when the oxygen masks come down, they say put yours on first and then the person next to you or your child or whoever. Because if you put theirs on and you pass out, who gonna take care of who? So there's a reason why they say you put your mask on first and then help. So you have to take care of your physical and mental well-being first. This sets a positive example for your children to ensure you're better equipped to handle parenting challenges. Now, amidst the countless responsibilities of fatherhood, like prioritizing self-care, it often takes a back seat. You're neglecting your own physical, emotional, and mental well-being, and it can have a detriment effect on your health and your relationship. I need you to recognize the importance of self-care and that carving out time for rest, relaxation, and personal interests is crucial for maintaining resilience and overall satisfaction in your roles as fathers. Sitting inside your nothing box is okay. Take it from one that knows very well of how important it is for you to sit in your nothing box. Sometimes I'll just sit and it looks like I'm just vegging out or I'm just in space. My wife may be talking and I probably don't even hear her. And she'll just say, honey, husband. I say, well, huh? She goes, you're in your nothing box, huh? I'll be like, yes. I go in my nothing box because it's quiet, it's peaceful, and I'm there alone with my thoughts. And I'm just there. It's a time of peace, relaxation, and quiet. It's a nothing box. Find your nothing box, wherever that is. It might be out on the lake fishing. It might be out walking. But you find that nothing box because then you can rejuvenate yourself. All right, number 9. Adapting to change. Now, we talked about teenage issues and challenges when they start changing from adolescence to teenage, they start transitioning. Well, adapting to change. Children grow and family dynamics evolve. We understand that. Be adaptable and open to change. Not too much change, but some change. Go with the flow. Try to be the cool dad. Embrace each life change with a willingness to learn what's going on and adjust your parenting approach accordingly. Sometimes you have to be able to let down on some of those strict military regiments in the home. Fatherhood is a journey marked by constant change and evolution. And that's from the newborn stage to adolescent and beyond. Adapting to the evolving needs and dynamics of your children. This requires you to be flexible and open-minded. Now, when they come home talking about they want all these body piercings and tattoos, you got to draw the line somewhere. Embracing change, whether it be in your children's development stage, your family dynamics, or external circumstances. It's essential for navigating the ever-shifting landscape of fatherhood. How well can you adapt to what's happening in your home with your son, with your daughter? They're going to grow up. And I know some of you want it sooner than later. You just want them grown and gone. It reminds me growing up at home, and as boys, we want to smell ourselves and think we gon', buck up to daddy. And he's like, hey, you ain't grown until you gone, boy. And we'd be like, oh, okay. Well, that means you need to step it down a little bit. You need to come bring it down a little because Pops didn't play. He was basically the quiet one. Mom was the disciplinarian when in the house. She ruled with a switch and belt. Pops was more, talk it out. And if we don't talk it out, well, there's other means and methods of getting your attention. All right, let me finish. Number 10, we are at the finish line for week 6, being present. In the age of technology, because we live in the age of technology, everything is computer-based, phones, laptops, iPads, you name it. In this age, being present can be a challenge. And this is when we need to minimize distractions when spending time with our children. Why? Because this strengthens the quality of our interaction. Now, if your children are on those virtual goggles, or they got their earphones on, they're always on their phone, or they're in there playing their Madden and different games, most of these games that are out today, that's a distraction in building a healthy relationship with your children. That as well has to have boundaries. You have to have boundaries even in that. How much time are they spending in their room, on their computer, on their phones? Do they bring their phones to the table? Are they listening to their earphones while you're talking to them? You have to set these boundaries so they understand. We need to minimize these distractions and spend some quality time together. In today's fast-paced world, the ability to be fully present and engage with our children can be a significant challenge, because distractions such as technology, phones, iPads, game consoles, or here's the one, work obligations and personal stressors can distract from the quality time spent with family. Pay attention to what you're doing. Pay attention to how much time you're spending doing a particular thing. Is it beneficial? Is it distracting from spending quality time with your children or your mate? You have to be aware of what's going on in your own life. So learning to cultivate mindfulness and prioritize presence in everyday interactions is essential for building strong, meaningful connections with our children, and also fostering a sense of closeness and security within the family unit. They need to feel a sense of security. They need to feel safe. It needs to be a safe environment. And if you don't have an open communication with your children, how will they know that they can come to you with their problems? How do they know that they can feel trusted in talking with you? Children today, they don't feel trust in the home. And it shouldn't be that way. This is the important thing about that friendship thing that I talked about. You're not their best friend. However, you can be a friend, parent, and let them know that there's going to be a level of respect here. I'm not your age. I'm not going to dress like you. I'm not going to talk like you. I'm not going to do the things that you do, because I'm daddy. I'm mama, whatever the case may be. So they'll understand that when you come to me, we're going to lay some things down, because my goal in life is to get you where you need to be, is to teach you how to survive in this world. That's why it's important for them to understand the differences. You have friends outside, you have your parents on the inside. Yeah, we can be friendly. We can have a good time. We can play. We can talk. We can chit chat. Hey, but don't treat me that I'm your age. And a lot of kids today treat their parents as if they're the same age. And I'll bring this to a close with this. Navigating fatherhood challenges involves continuous learning and adapting to the evolving needs of our family. So while you have the chance, embrace the joys and difficulties that come along with being a father, that come along with parenting, and always prioritize open communication and a supportive family environment. And with that being said, y'all be sure to come back next week as we close out this 7-week series, Common Issues That Men Deal With and Do Not Openly Discuss. Our topic for next week will be loneliness. There are some days when I just love being alone. And in that loneliness, I may feel lonely, but that's not too often. Because for me, my solitude is my time to reflect and hear God. Plus, it's a very peaceful place, and we need that sometimes, a lot of times. Remember that nothing box. I look forward to our time together again next week. Be sure to tell a friend. Don't keep it to yourself. Share the wealth. And until then, be blessed.